welcome to It Gets Weird, our comedy show. Let me try that one more time.
Are you going to try to make it a drama this week, Kyle?
This is normally your situation, okay? I nail this like every time, and now we have a new guest on the show, and I'm
highlighting it this time because now there's one that I'm making part of the record that you fucked up, so then I get to cover up all my mistakes.
Thank you. Welcome to It Gets Weird, our comedy show where we explore the unusual, the unbelievable, and the unexplained to try and make your world a little weirder. I'm Kyle.
And I'm Nile. And this week, I don't know. This week it's one of those things where I've been coming off of feeling I've had a migraine all day. So the only thing I've really been thinking about is there's a fucking Hedera pullover like a sweater from the Godzilla US store. Yeah.
Sure.
And it's sick as fuck. And I keep seeing it on Instagram, but the only thing is, like, it's already, like, sold out. I don't know. This isn't going anywhere. It just literally was the only thing that was coming to mind when I was trying to, like, vamp an intro.
I think on some level you feel that would have made your migraine better if you had access to it.
I think Hedera, the toxic sludge monster, could do a lot for the pharmaceutical industry.
That's almost definitely true. You've had an actual proper migraine day. I had a bit of a spiritual migraine day that I'm looking to sort of avail myself of over the course of this episode. But to help us on this journey, we have a guest. We have a guest in the studio this week. My friend, our friend of the show officially now, KT. Welcome.
Hi, I'm having a metaphysical migraine, and I'm hoping that I will give birth to a new being from my head, and that will clear it all up.
Ah, the old Zeus, or no, who was the one that actually gave birth? Zeus was.
I think it was KT.
Yeah,
KT
there it is.
Now, yes, the mythology has changed. KT giving birth from her forehead, a new metaphysical entity. I'm so glad you said that. Actually. That could not be... I said spiritual migraine. Metaphysical migraine is actually sort of something that we're going to be dealing with in this episode.
I hope not.
God, I love that when we accidentally... the goofs bleed into the topics.
Well, it's not so much that we're going to be dealing with a metaphysical migraine so much as it is how could you heal a metaphysical migraine if you needed to. That's...
Oh, okay.
That's sort of where this is coming from. And I ended up turning to a new guy I recently discovered. Now, as you know, I love finding new guys. There's a lot of them under this banner of weird stuff that we talk about. And this is a new guy who, how do I describe him? He seems to be a deep pool of wisdom on topics that we're all very familiar with here, and some we're not. So let's see if we can tease out some wise ideas and learn from the so-called Cosmick Traveler, Dirk Gillabel.
We're already off to a good start. What was it? Cosmick Traveler?
Yes, and he spells cosmic Cosmick, so it's sort of like
fuck yes.
Add the K to magic, add the K to cosmic.
So how many levels above Blues Traveler is Cosmick Traveler? I'm assuming it's like a Boy Scout situation where you start like Blues is like, like Cub Scouts kind of thing, and then you keep going. Yes. I don't know why I'm. Yeah, but
no, I get what you're saying. Eagle Scout. Way further than that. Like much further than that. So yeah, Dirk Gillabel. Now I wanted to say like up front, because we poke fun at a lot of this stuff. I honestly I explored what this guy was talking about with an open mind. I admittedly don't necessarily, share the same reality as this guy, but I like a lot of it. I like authentically really loved the stuff that this guy was talking about, and I was very into his whole shtick. So, admittedly, outside of what you can find that's written by him online, I can't I can't really speak to him as a human being. Like, if you were to go out and just meet Dirk Gillabel on the street and have a 30-minute conversation with him, I could not tell you what that would be like. I can tell you what the sort of elevated consciousness, new age, spiritualist, guru, shaman Gillabel is like, but I really can't tell you about the person.
So you can't tell me if I'd want to have a beer with this guy?
You have no idea if you're going to want to have a beer with this guy, although I would lean towards wanting to have a beer with this guy. I'm very curious about some of his thoughts on things. So because it's difficult to really define him, I'm going to just let his About Me segment on his website explain him a little bit for you. So here's what he says. I am a lifelong spiritual seeker, exploring the mysteries of man, life, and the universe. I had several mystical experiences during my life. These experiences were often unexpected, and they lie outside what we have been told is possible. They taught me about the greater reality, that part of reality that is not talked about in school, government, or corporation. Nevertheless, it is very real, and it is a part of being human on this planet. I have studied many doctrines and teachings, both esoteric and scientific. I have learned to see their common essence. Many people have spiritual, mystical, or just unusual experiences they never talk about because of the many taboos this society has about certain subjects. However, when they encounter someone they see they can trust, they open up. It is time now for people to talk openly and not to fear ridicule. I see it as my task to write about all these subjects and experiences that can enrich your life. Exchanging ideas, opinions, beliefs, and experiences will bring us together, and we will realize that we are not different from each other. It does not matter where you live on the earth or what your cultural background is. If we pay attention to our humanness, then we can create a better world for all of us. Frankly, I co-sign that statement. I don't know. It's pretty good.
That's the most word salad fucking like it took 4 paragraphs to say nothing thing I've heard in a minute.
Yes.
I think if I'm being honest, having spent some time in a college town, I would appreciate if it was more taboo to share spiritual experiences.
Yes. No, that's a good point. I mean, I think and the thing is, like, he says that he is it's almost like he's trying to suggest that he's like synthesizing spirituality and science in the way he describes this. But as I understand it, his actual scientific roots are like almost exclusively in Jungian psychology, and I can't be certain that he even understands that in any sort of fullness. So,
Kyle, from your experience, what percentage of people who have some sort of credit in Jungian psychology do you think actually understand what it is?
It's probably not a huge number, but you're also asking from my experience, which is extremely flawed. And so I'm going to say 100%. But I think our best, honestly, and I'll wrap back around to this towards the end of the episode, but KT, I don't know if you've heard the episode we did on Gaian consciousness and folklore warfare.
It sounds familiar, but you have a lot of episodes that I've listened to and forgotten.
No, that's it's all cool.
You need a wiki.
We really do. In fact, that's something I'm sort of trying to work on. But that whole thing, the Gaian consciousness thing, which seems to permeate through a lot of New Age circles, is trying to, in essence, draw from this idea of Jungian archetypes, which, like, I tried to explain in that episode, and I can't sit here and claim to actually fully grasp Jung, but, like, I did my best, right? And it's one of those things where, like, the more you kind of go into the New Age direction of things, the further away you get from the truth of the original idea. You know what I mean? Like, it just kind of becomes its own thing.
Now, for Jung here, we're talking Neil, right?
Yes, we're talking Neil Young. We're talking the sort of philosophical ideas you could pull from the Heart of Gold.
Thought we were talking about Tool lyrics.
Ah, there's not nearly enough math involved.
No, this is sorry. If in the sort of like diverging paths, on the one hand you have the sign that's like this way towards Tool, and then the other sign says this way towards Neil Young. You got like a Happy Sunshine, Tool. You got like the storm clouds and the dark castle. We're going towards Neil Young territory, I think, with Gillabel.
Oh, that's good.
Now. Like I said, I can't tell you too much about this guy as a person. I was able to find exactly one photo of the man so far, and this is going to sound like I'm trying to be mean, and I don't mean it in a mean way. He looks kind of like a cross between Ben Folds and this is a little niche, the son from the I Live With My Dad Tim and Eric sketch, if you've seen that.
Jesus.
Here, I have a little. I'm just gonna do. Oh, sharing is not turned on. Fuck! Now I'll put an edit marker there. I can't share this. Well,
you need
anyways,
to put like a link or something.
I'll put a link to this. I will explain this outside of the episode. But he kind of looks like that to me. And that's the only thing I can find that gives you any sort of insight into his actual like personal life, because to me,
does he look like super chill?
He looks chill. Yes, he looks chill, and he looks European, because he is.
Okay.
So I'll share that in some way so people can understand what I'm talking about. I actually have a couple of images that I would really like to share with this episode, so I'll find a way to bundle that. So yeah, Gillabel, this guy, first and foremost, the thing I can tell you is that he sells some of his personal creations. Mainly you'll find stuff like his tarot decks or his singing bowls.
Does he have custom tarot deck artwork, or is it just like...
Yes.
Okay, does it have a theme?
They're all themed around different things. I actually have an entire dedicated section to his tarot work.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay.
Which is, I think, it's sort of collaborative with his wife. We'll get to all that. But I wanted to ask the question and then answer that's probably in everybody's mind now is, what the hell is a singing bowl?
I know what it is.
Oh.
You know
what
it
it
is?
is. Yeah.
Wait, you oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah, but hey, explain it for the podcast. There are people out there that won't know what it is.
No, it's fine.
Wait, I want to know if this is the same idea, if we're all operating from the same idea. Can you two explain singing bowls to me?
So, I don't know the entire thing, but what I remember is that it's a Native American device that is, you like fill it with water and it to some point, and then it like you use it in a sort of like meditative trance, not channeling, but I'm bad at the specifics, but it's used in part of a kind of divination type ceremony thing.
Oh, okay. KT, does that ring true?
That's silly that you said that. I had a different idea, I guess, of like, it's this bowl that's made out of certain like hard material, and you have like a stick that you like run around the rim of it, and it makes this like kind of like you do with like a glass, you make a sound.
You are both correct, actually. At least from Gillabel's perspective. So both of those things are possible with the bowls that he is working with. Okay. He in fact dedicates a section in his PDF on the subject to like you can do you can do water-based stuff like you described, Nile. Now I don't think he talks as much about like divination, but he does use it for meditation. There's a really awesome part where like have you ever like seen somebody post like a recipe online and they leave their little commentary in there of like, you know, oh, brownies with fudge, you'll really enjoy this. Try doing this with your brownies with fudge. Add a little caramel swirl. He talks about his singing bowls in that way, where he's just like, a fountain of singing bowls. You're gonna really like this, and it's delightful.
It's salesmanship, Kyle. He's trying to get you excited.
Yes, it is. In fact, I want to agree with it being salesmanship, but the way these get sold is very weird to me. But we'll get to that. So, like you said, it's like what it is based on how he uses it. It's like a little metal bowl that you use like a timpani or a bass drumstick almost looking device, and you create sounds with it by, the rim, circle around the rim, but I think you can also like put it on the inside and like circle it around, and even on the outside. He encourages experimentation with your bowls.
Cool.
So do whatever the hell you want, really.
Yeah.
It's just about the excitation of the like the sound, the tones that you can get, right? Because the tones that are produced by a singing bowl can work for, quote, relaxation, grounding, centering, meditation, healing, body work, yoga, and massage.
What's body work? Do you know?
That's a great question. I don't know.
Okay.
I imagine it's like massage.
Yeah, it seemed to be in the same camp, but I just started thinking of hip hop songs like like make your body work.
Yes.
I was like, I didn't know if that was related.
I actually don't know what body work is. But the first thing that comes to mind is that fancy footwork video.
Yeah, of course that's what you come up with.
That's but that can't be it, because this is full body work, right?
In alternative medicine, body work is any therapeutic or personal development technique that involves working with the human body in a form involving manipulative therapy, breath work, or energy medicine.
Okay.
So it's a pretty broad category.
Yes. I mean, massage could fit into that. Yoga could fit into that. Okay. So it's capturing more ideas than just yoga and massage. Fine. So you can actually hear examples of the singing bowls on his site. He has uploaded these like 45-minute tracks to YouTube with like this etheric psychedelic artwork attached to them. Honestly, it was kind of
the concept of these videos being 45 minutes long make me like die laughing? That like I thought it was gonna, most like sound clips when you're selling something is like 20 to 30 seconds. But this guy was like, fuck it. We're getting psychedelic. We're getting the is it like the overhead projectors that are like crossed over, and he's doing like slinging like dyed bowls and stuff over it?
It's just JPEGs, Nile. It's nothing that fancy.
Damn. Okay.
But I think so. I think you can buy CDs of this stuff. But he like uploads full tracks, which, like I said, are like 45 minutes long to YouTube. And I think the idea is that you can use these for meditation. Now, what's to stop you from totally skipping over the purchasing of the CD and then just cue the same 45-minute meditative track every time you meditate? I don't know.
Well, those last 15 minutes of the CD audio length, no, 80 minutes, sorry, this is the last 25 minutes, it's really what helps you finish that body work. The tones really change and harmonize into this way that, like, it's not going to make you come physically, but it is going to, like, help with that spiritual release. So if you don't buy those last minutes, it's kind of like spiritual edging.
A spiritual,
those 45 minutes over and over.
Spiritual edging, maybe less. Okay, now I'm gonna de-blue this one for you. How about you're sort of working out a spiritual cramp? Think about that.
Sure.
But it could be like a cum. That's entirely possible. But I was listening to this stuff, and I like ambient music, and it really isn't too far flung from that. So if you're like into like Biosphere or Stars of the Lid,
well, it's just like New Age, right? Like that's just what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you guys remember when they used to have that like little kiosk by the greeting cards at Target that had like soundscape
Wow,
CDs?
you just unlocked
Oh my
something
God.
for me.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that, but yes.
This really feels like a more DIY version of that. This guy's like doing it himself, making the bowls,
Wow.
whereas those people, I don't know, they probably just hired like, people with a synth to come in and like lay pads down. But I used to go to Target, and I didn't quite, it was when I was too young to fully recognize the difference between the CD section in the back and that section, as like, I don't really care about this one. So I would go and like listen to Soundscape CDs in Target, and like, I don't know why. It was just like a thing that I would always do when I went to Target when I was a kid. And so that kiosk is burned in my brain. And so anytime I hear ambient stuff, that's what comes to mind.
Okay, I
That's my
really genuinely, like, I'd completely forgotten about that stuff. That I definitely did listen to that back in the day.
Did anyone ever buy any of those? I never did.
No, I don't think
Okay.
so.
I've got the whole collection.
Oh, good.
You've got like
I was gonna wait for
5,000 CDs.
I was gonna wait for the Time Life box set. I wanted to just
Yeah.
get it all in
No,
one.
you had
fell
to
swoop.
get in and get it before they pulled it off the floor.
Oh, true. Especially with the feverish people running to the kiosk to try and snatch those up. It's kind of like how Pokemon cards are now. People are just running and grabbing them off the shelves.
You got Reddits that chart the restock times at various stores.
Can you imagine one of those like buy this box set CD like infomercial things, but for this?
Yeah. When it starts going through that, like where the tracks start going down and certain ones are highlighted that are playing, and it would just be like ocean sounds followed by like rainwater followed by soothing mist, like the most just, I don't know. It for some reason, ambient music CDs of that kind, like the ones that were just churned out in like, not like, I'm trying to make the delineation here that ambient music is an actual thing that is worthy of respect, as opposed to this.
Sure.
This
stuff, fuck it.
The meditative CDs at Target, I don't think are high art. But yeah, give me a box set. Fuck it.
I honestly, like, comparing this to actual ambient music just made me think, like, what if Gillabel had like what if Gillabel heard like ambient music, right? Like he starts listening to like William Basinski, and he develops like the disintegration bowls. Like that would be that would be like a sick trajectory. The people who are listening to this episode and are into ambient music are like going nuts right now, by the way.
Well, is the soundscape thing just like a place for all the people who wanted to be like Tangerine Dream 2 and just like they just landed there?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
So, Kyle, do you think that Gillabel ever studied Brian Eno's oblique strategies? Do you think that's his formation for creativity?
I severely doubt it, Nile, to be honest with you. So yeah, that's what he's doing. He's selling these CDs, but the plus side that you're supposed to get from these bowls is that they can help you meditate and other things of that nature. And I can't deny the audio is pretty chill. So you can find lots of documentation on the history of the sound of the singing bowls on his website, which is cosmicktraveler.wordpress.com, and that's cosmic COSMICK, just if you'll recall. So that's important.
Yes.
So WordPress site. I'd like to touch on a few key points that he brings up about the bowls that I thought were very interesting. So first, he explains that the best bowls are made of, quote, 7 metals corresponding to the 7 visible planets. Now, he doesn't tell you what those metals are, but the way he explains it, it sounds like the more metals they have, the closer they align to the planets, and the closer they align to the planets, the higher quality of the bowl. And I guess the higher quality of the results you get from, making them sing.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it only goes up to 7 now?
Visible planets. Now
Okay.
You're not going to see all of them. You think you're going to be able to go out and squint and see? Do we count Pluto's? I can't remember if Pluto's not in there anymore, but you get what I'm saying.
Not anymore. Yeah. And I think Venus is on short notice too.
That's yeah. That's been on short notice, at least with me. I don't want to talk about it. So, so he talks about how the tone of the bowl can unlock your inner self. And it'll relax you so deeply that the thing that he mentions a couple times is that he will consistently use the singing bowls as a post-work de-stressor. So he'll come home and he'll load up a bowl and he'll like lay on his back and put it on his chest and sing it while it's sitting on his chest. And he'll do it for like 30 to 40 minutes. And then he says it completely refreshes him. So, I don't know. Might be worth... Look, I'll try anything to de-stress. Yeah. Frankly,
I do like that you phrase it as he comes home from work and loads up a bowl, which is really most notably thinking about a different kind of bowl that would also help with your work de-stress. Maybe honestly, that might get you the 8th and 9th planets.
Yeah,
if you did this while doing singing bowls while smoking.
Yeah, Oh yeah, Nile is of course referring to putting cooking a big bag of popcorn till it smokes and putting it in a bowl.
Do you think it's somehow offensive to have popcorn out of a singing bowl?
Honestly, probably.
Okay.
Because he attributes a lot of spiritual significance to the bowls, as we'll kind of see here in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I imagine you're not supposed to put popcorn in it, but at the same time, he does, like I said, he very much encourages experimentation. You're putting water in them in some cases.
Yeah.
Who's to say that putting popcorn in the bowl and then, okay, one of the things that people like this will talk about, and he especially talks about it, but it's a trend I'm picking up on, is like audio frequencies are like deeply linked to the vitality of human beingness, right? Like, we've talked about, 432 hertz and stuff like that, which is the frequency at which you can I guess interface with human consciousness through sound or something like that, right?
It makes you more in tune with the universe if you vibrate at 432. Yeah.
Right. So here's something I'm wondering. Why the sense of hearing specifically are we so fixated as New Age spiritualists? Like, what about odors? Can we talk about, surely there has to be, so like the nice smell of popcorn while you're ringing that bowl?
Mm-hmm.
That sounds kind of nice to me.
So do you think that popcorn is like the 432 hertz of smells?
We won't know until we try a bunch of different foods in the bowls, Niall.
When I eat popcorn out of a singing bowl, it leaves me more satisfied than out of a bowl with only one metal.
Exactly.
And also, if you have the singing bowl on your stomach and you vibrate it like there, then it also helps with digestion. So like it really works for the whole system. This is all and popcorn's fiber. Basically, this is a whole body.
This should be the primary selling point.
Yeah,
the popcorn.
I think. I do think we now can say that eating popcorn while using your singing bowl, it does qualify as body work in the loosest sense of the description.
Absolutely. I mean, of course, I'm taking you fully seriously at that because I think you're right. And I definitely didn't think that's where you were going to go, because I thought you were going to say like you have the bowl of popcorn on your stomach, and then you do a vibration or like a movement with your, like, more body work with your stomach, and then you try and launch popcorn bits in your mouth while you're laying on your back, because that's really what good. I was kind of picturing. But the thing is, your application of like putting it on your stomach to then use the bowl to help with something like digestion, that's actually like the kind of use he would suggest, I do believe.
Yeah.
So,
but okay, so you asked a minute ago, why did a bunch of New Age people think that like ears are the way in? It's because, like, at least with 432 hertz and various other things,
chakras,
they
right?
think like the whole thing is not really, but kind of. It's more that your brain waves. They think that like attuning your brain waves to a specific frequency helps to align things with the cosmic consciousness, so that you then are more open to and in tune with the good forces coming in from that consciousness. It's about attuning your brain waves.
Sure.
About the vibrations.
Yeah, exactly. No, for sure, it is about the vibrations. But here's my counterpoint to those people, or not even a counterpoint, just a suggestion. My suggestion is like, you maybe can't see the forest for the trees. Can we not account for the entirety of the embodied experience? Like, why just hearing? You got to take it all in. That's my suggestion.
I think that's what that chess cheater was trying to do. Get in tune with the universe.
That's fair. I had not considered that. Maybe this is something they already all know about, and I'm just now, as a novice, stumbling into it. So,
do you know about the chess cheater that was using a vibrating butt plug? Is that a thing that you? Okay,
Huh?
cool.
Of course,
just making sure that comes through. All right,
of course, and
Carry on.
That's the thing, though, is like, I think more shamans need to talk about stuff like that.
Yeah.
There needs to be. This is what I'm saying. Is the embodied experience does include butt plugs and shit like that. You have to include that as a possibility in your like shamanic spiritual. I also don't even know if like shaman is like the word you're supposed to use now, because I think that's changed a little bit. But you see what I'm saying, right? Like let's take it all in. Let's take it all in. Everything's important. But maybe I don't know.
Full
Just
body
my
work.
idea. Just my idea. So he goes on. God, we have so much to talk about. Holy shit. He goes on and he says, he says the bowl can unlock your inner self, relax you deeply. Typically what you do, you place the bowl on like different parts of your body. Sometimes you prop it up with your fingers or whatever you have to do. You have that come into contact with the bowl, you sing it, and then you quote, rub to make them sing. And that's how you make it work. So,
okay.
Are we just gonna leave that sentence?
Yeah, I look. There's sometimes you gotta do kind of a catch and release. You just gotta like let it keep going.
So true.
Catch and release technique could be especially effective too. Really, like, I don't know what that means. Accompanied with the explanations of the singing bowls are these like black and white photos of a woman showing the various uses. And I do believe that this woman is Carol Hertzer, who seems to be Gillabel's wife. And again, it's like hard to get a lot of details here, but it's mentioned on one part of his site that he moved to the USA from Europe in 1993, and he married tarot artist Carol Hertzer. And Hertzer has her own website, which is www.soul-guidance.com. Gillabel often links to the Soul Guidance site and vice versa, and Hertzer has a section on her site titled House of the Sun, and says that it is a collection of, quote, Dirk's esoteric and spiritual articles. So there's like some cross-posting going on that's like, I'm assuming, happening manually between these two sites. And they actually, as I understand it, as a married couple, their surname is Gillabel Hertzer. Like, they didn't take one name over the other. So, Gillabel...
So do you have any information on why she has just a straight up .com and he's on a WordPress?
That honestly occurred to me.
Doesn't want to pay for a domain?
Well, I think you still have to have some subscription service to get a domain on WordPress. Oh no, I have, like you said, he has a WordPress, but I think you still have to pay. It's still there's still a subscription
thing.
fee.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: I wonder if maybe one of them knows how to do basic HTML, CSS stuff, and the other one doesn't, or something. I don't know. I don't know why they have, because hers is like an actual like Web 1.0 website, and then his is a WordPress like blog with a million links to different things. So I can't answer that for you. There's nothing. They don't have a whole section on like web technologies we use to build these sites. So I unfortunately can't answer that. But I'm also curious. So Gillabel Hertzer seemed to be a little bit of a powerhouse in the world of tarot and spiritual products. I actually found, it turns out there's a tarot forum from like, that goes all the way back to the 2000s and is still operating today. And I found these like late 2000s posts in a thread where it's just a thread of people just specifically discussing Gillabel Hertzer, their tarot deck. Now, I want to have Gillabel's words here to explain his tarot stuff. So here's what he says about it. He says, the tarot decks of Dirk Gillabel, which are trumps only, are unique in two ways. First, because of his esoteric background, he has developed alternate interpretations of the trumps, primarily based on the meaning of numbers and the sequence of the trumps. Dirk believes that we should not stick to the traditional representation or interpretation of the cards. We are living in new times with new insights. He sees the cards as archetype forms in Jungian terms. So there's the Jung stuff. That means that with each card, the frame remains the same, but the content will differ depending on the culture one lives in, but also on the personality of the creator. In this way, Dirk has tried to view the cards in many different ways, exploring the trumps archetypes of the human mind. Secondly, he enjoys experimentation with different styles and drawing or painting media. As a seeker, Dirk has always asked questions about life and looked for answers. He has studied religions, myths, psychology, occultism, and esoteric subjects. He has also discovered the richness of the inner world. In this way, he became familiar with tarot. One day, Dirk suddenly felt a strange impulse to go through the masks in order to discover the essence of each card. By meditation and introspection, he plunged into each card and looked for this very essence, the nucleus, the origin of the archetypes. Thus, his first deck was created, the Medicator Tarot. The ideas he found were universal in nature. They could be understood by every culture. They could be found in all religions, myths, and esoteric doctrines. This made it clear that the traditional images and names of the tarot are extensions of and in perfect agreement with the original meaning. It also explains the proper placement of each card. So, all of that being said, I will be the first to admit that I actually know almost nothing about tarot, which is completely ridiculous given that we've been doing this podcast for as long as we have. But I really don't know much about it other than how it gets depicted in pop culture and media. So yeah,
was that deck the Medicator MEDI or Meta META?
MEDI. Medicator.
Okay. Interesting.
I have to assume it's something to do with healing.
Yeah,
but
that makes sense.
I don't know that for sure. I can't remember. KT, do you know much about tarot?
I have a couple decks that are both sort of weird. I don't know, I feel like the primary thing to help me understand what this means is to know what trumps are, and I don't off the top of my head.
No idea.
It's interesting because kind of what tarot is already is just a bunch of archetypes that could be applicable in a lot of ways. So for him to be I went in and it's just it's kind of just he reinvented it his way.
Yeah.
Which is fine. That's what tarot deck people do, and as long as the art's fun to look at and it's interesting. There's a little bit of weird this applies across all cultures. It's what are you saying? But that's the new aginess of it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's a good way to put it. I don't, like I said, I really don't know much about tarot. If people out there know the specifics of what he's saying that can fill us in, please feel free to reach out to the show. But sorry, go ahead, Nile.
The trumps are the first 22 cards of the major arcana, and then the 56 cards are the minor arcana. So there's 78 cards in a pack, and there's 22 that are the major, and then the rest are minor. And that's what he's talking about. I just Googled it. I didn't know that off the top of my head.
No, I appreciate that. That's a really small deck.
That is a small deck, and it makes sense of it. Sorry, I read so many disparate ideas and thoughts from this guy that I'm that just somehow connected something that I didn't even put down in my notes because it didn't seem all that relevant. But he says something about how the ancient mystics, they determined through contact with the etheric realm that 21 is a threshold number. Numbers represent things. 21 is a threshold. So that would explain why the major arcana is encapsulated in that number of cards, and then beyond that you go to the minor arcana.
Yeah, because literally it said those cards are numbered 0 to 21.
Right.
So that's it. Okay.
He says that 0 is not a number but a concept of nothing, and I think he puts 0 as the fool. and he's like, oh man, like this is what we're all born from, like we start from nothing, I think is what he was saying, and then we hit like. So again, I don't quite know what that means, but that's the kind of stuff he was saying, and that starts to, I guess, at least give me a few more puzzle pieces to work with. So anyways, please email us if you know. I'm sure there's got to be people out there who are like, I know at least we have people in the Discord who are very educated on tarot stuff, and I'm just not one of them. So please let us know. It was like one of those things where I'd really love to talk about it, but like that would require me stopping and going down an entire path of tarot, which honestly we should probably just do as an episode sometime.
I was thinking about doing some episodes on stuff in that realm. So maybe I'll do Jules knows some stuff about tarot. Maybe I'll see if she wants to do a tarot episode.
So anyways, these are the sort of origins of the works of Gillabel Herzer. It's like a union in tarot, right? Like he goes out and he marries her, and she is an artist who also works with tarot, and they come together to make this stuff. Now, I really do recommend going to Gillabel's site to check out the tarot deck section, because you can find a bunch of artwork for different decks they've created. Like I said, I think that these are typically collaborations between Gillabel and Herzer, but sometimes it's like a solo venture. And like Herzer on her website has a whole gallery of artwork that's associated with the tarot. And I just wanted to point out a couple, like my two favorites that I really, really liked. So there's one called the Brain Heart Tarot, which has these like really sick art pieces from Herzer that are very like sort of psychedelic and interesting and cool. And I almost the phrase that like popped into my mind, even though I don't think it's the correct term, is like some of it feels a little outsider arty, you know, which is very cool.
All right.
So yeah, Brain Heart Tarot. But then the other one that I really loved was the Prism Tarot, and this is a Gillabel tarot project. Where Gillabel in the early 1990s tapped into the newly emerging power of computers, and he used the Amiga Deluxe Paint software to create this set of tarot. So they're all like digital, like pixel painting with like assets from, I think, Amiga Deluxe Paint, and they're great. I love them.
That's awesome.
They're super cool.
I love. Do you ever see just like people will post like VHSs of like that just say like computer graphics, and it's just like a sizzle reel of computer graphics from like the beginning of computer graphics. I love that shit so much.
Yeah.
It's so weird, and like there's also like a comic. This is slightly different, but there's a Batman comic that it was the selling point of it was like a 2-issue thing, that it was the first comic ever digitally painted. And it looks like it. It is an assault on the eyes, but it's worth looking up if you're ever curious about that kind of thing. It was at Half Price Books one time, and I almost bought it, and I kind of regret not buying it. But yeah, look it up. I forget what it's called, but if you look up Batman computer painted, you'll find it very quickly. He like goes into a computer and shit, because that's what everything had to do at that era.
That's sick. This like honestly, like we should just, I think it's time to replace all media with do you remember those like really early CG animations of like a machine, and the ball would fly around the machine almost like in and it would like create music, you know what I'm talking
about? Like anime music and stuff?
Yeah, just delete it all and just replace it with like variations on anime music. That would be the ideal media landscape for me, I think.
Okay.
So
yeah.
Regrettably, in 2022, Gillabel did create this AI tarot, and it looks pretty bad. He's using like Dream AI. So kind of expectedly, these are like the least compelling set of tarot decks on the site, but all I would say they're all worth looking at because they're interesting.
How are they priced in comparison to the non-AI ones? Does he do anything different?
So this is this is the confusing thing: is there are no prices on anything that they talk about.
It's like one of those restaurants. Okay.
Yeah.
If you need to ask the price, it's too expensive for you.
Yeah. Well, so there's no prices on anything. You can download all the artwork used, like nice images of all the artwork used for the different tarot decks. You can just download them for free. But on Hertzer's website, there is a section where you can click a link that says like how to buy our products. And when you click that link, it just takes you to a page that's like, here's how you get into email correspondence. Ask us about a thing. We'll tell you how much it is. And then we'll determine shipping through email. And then we can send it to you once you give us that information. So that's how you buy this.
I love when buying a thing requires an email conversation with a stranger. That's fantastic. It's like eBay.
I mean, I almost
dirty.
It does.
Yeah.
It does feel a little dirty, but at the same time, it feels somehow more honest than like, oh, I have a Shopify link to my singing bowl. You know, like that, but it definitely feels.
They should
a little
at least
dirty.
have an Etsy store. Come on,
sure, but like everything is trapped in Web 1.0 except their WordPress site. So, and for whatever fucking reason, their links to navigate to buy their shit is on the website that is permanently trapped in Web 1.0 versus the WordPress site, which is just like it looks like a relatively normal website.
Kyle, I'm sorry, I'm asking you to step back a little bit, but you said you found a page in a forum where people were talking about these tarot decks, and I need to know like what the public opinion was.
Ooh, okay, that's
were people like this deck sucks?
Let
good
me.
Question.
You know what? I actually happen to have the forum thread right here. So I'll just give you a little sampling here. So the thread was started in 2011 by a user named Tehuti. And they say, have you seen this deck? It's amazing. The work of a true master who has been creating tarot decks for over 20 years. I'd call this his masterwork. And they link to the Soul Guidance website, which the actual specific link is dead now because their, pages have changed. And they say, anyone who has the Illuminated Tarot by Dirk's partner Carol Hertzer knows the quality of the decks they produce. There's admittedly a couple of conversations about like tarot specific things that I don't quite get, where they're like, one user named Le Finau says, nice, but some unusual titles going on there. Is it officially tarot, humility, passage to another world, poverty? And I'm reading that going like, I don't know what that means.
If those are titles of cards.
Okay, those are card titles. Okay,
which is unusual.
But then there's a post from an account. The image. This is awesome. This is so good. So there's an account named Card Lady 22, and her icon is of like a fortune teller, like it's like a painting or a drawing of a fortune teller, and she's like holding up her hand, and there's like a little heart, and you gotta just understand this image is like pixelated to shit, and got like JPEG artifacts, and then there's like I want to say 9 of clubs just in the top left corner, and then at the very bottom in just like a very plain font it says Card Lady 22, and she says, asterisks, sends vibes for the tax refund to clear quickly, and then yes, I want/love this deck.
Well, that's nice.
It is nice. I just love the vibes of this Card Lady 22. It's really good. So to really summarize though, like as I scroll through this, there are extremely positive reviews, and I'm realizing now I think maybe the website itself is causing these forum users' avatars to look like shit, because they all look really bad. This person says, "Oh my gosh, they are stunning. Thank you so much for posting about this." This goes on for 10 pages. Does it get like? Do they get like in arguments at any point?
I don't know. Is the post locked?
I mean, it's from a very long time ago, but it really is just people saying like, "I love Carol Hertzer. These look fantastic." But then others are being like, can you explain the thing, like, where are the miners? Which explains the thing that you said earlier. This person has the album cover for Derek and the Dominoes' Layla as their avatar. So
I do think if I was like, this is a really beautiful tarot deck, I would also think like, can I get the rest of it, please?
Yeah. I think that's actually a lot of the negative feedback is like, where's the rest of it? So I think you're right.
It's a subscription service. You get one card a month for 56 months.
This is 2011 now. We hadn't even like come up with that model yet. We're not quite there yet. But maybe that's what it looks like now. But to join the subscription service, you do have to email Mrs. Hertzer and discuss the details.
Yeah, you have to call her, and eventually you have to end up with a phone call where you give her your credit card number over the phone.
Oh Jesus, yeah, something like that. I almost want to like email them and just find out what the process is, because there's no like, do you think that there's any world where they're just like, send us your credit card number through email or whatever? Like that would be so fucked. And I guarantee people are doing it if it is the case.
There was a time when the closest thing I've ever done to something like this is there was a record label which is now defunct for worthwhile reasons. Sorry to people who in the folk punk scene.
I know exactly. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
That I had to get a money order from Kroger to send via the postal service to the record label, and then they would send me CDs in the mail.
That's so quaint.
That is, I kind of remember you doing that way back in the day. Can I ask, is this the label that had like Ghost Mice and like Spoon Boy? Okay.
Oh, it's Planet X Records.
Planet X.
Chris Clavin ended up being a fucking creep.
Total creep.
So
yeah, okay.
Sadly.
I had completely forgotten about that. But that's a really wild way of doing business. But that's just how you did it.
Maybe they're on the money order system.
You know what I always say? If it ain't convoluted, it ain't punk. So, God, where the hell was I? So yeah, the tarot stuff is honestly like, if you like that, or if you just like cool artwork, like I do recommend checking out the tarot. Now, returning to the singing bowls.
Sure.
I have to mention another extremely important factor in Gillabel's spiritual life. That is a Hungarian shaman, a guru, and painter who was based out of Belgium, named Joska Seuss.
Okay.
Now, Seuss is a topic in his own right. And I actually found Gillabel through Seuss. I had one of those moments where I found this Joska Seuss guy, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, so I apologize out there to any Belgian listeners. Although Belgium's got a lot to answer for, so maybe I'm not that sorry. Joska Seuss. I like found him, and I started to find lots and lots of content about him. And I sort of was like, oh, fuck, I have to put this on the back burner because it's a lot. But somewhere in there I found Gillabel through that. And his story's pretty interesting. So what we can say is, for now, is Joska Seuss is a spiritual guide and a shaman. Seuss is also the man who introduced Gillabel to the power of the singing bowls. Probably one of the most fascinating things that Seuss's website says is that he once worked in Belgian coal mines where he experienced, quote, altered states of consciousness in the pitch blackness. And that's what led him to shamanism.
Hell yeah. That is one of the most unique origin stories for a spiritual guide I've heard in a long time.
Yes.
I started to get woozy in a coal mine, and I had a spiritual awakening.
Yes. It was a spiritual canary down there with him.
Jesus. All right.
Yeah, it's a wild origin story. So from his website, it says this. In the course of the 70s, he started to lead shamanic seances for whoever asked him for help. He gradually incorporated many ritual objects like his painted drum, sound bowls, bells, wind instruments, and rattles. His personal motto was, "I do not heal, I restore harmony." This was a central idea in his practice as a shaman in an urban context. So that's Yosuke Seuss with that. There's a whole... something that I thought was really funny is Gillabel has all of the text of Yosuke Seuss's biography, and it is just copy pasted onto his site through like 6 different articles in its entirety. So if you ever wanted to read that for free, it's out there on his website. So here's how the story goes. On November 6th, 1989, Gillabel went to visit Seuss in his home in the city of Antwerp, Belgium, hoping to experience a shamanization session, which a shamanization session is a thing that Seuss was known for doing. I can sort of imagine what goes on during a shamanization session, what that does to you as an experiencer. I don't know, but I think it was sort of almost like an induction process for Gillabel, I think, where he gets officiated basically.
Okay.
It's shamanistic baptism, I think. I might be totally wrong, but that's my best understanding. So here's what Gillabel says. The sun was bright when I arrived at the home of Yosuke Seuss. One in a long row of houses, his stood out from all the others with a front garden full of tall and bountiful plants, through which a small path led to the door. Ringing the bell, I looked through the glass into a hallway with many strange paintings. Down the stairs he came, singing in a low voice. Opening the door, he cordially invited me in. The paintings immediately captured my attention. Resembling abstract art, they had another dimension. Radiating and alive, they communicated on a level I had never experienced. Yosuke explained that besides being a shaman, he was also a painter. Most of his paintings are of light-sound beings from other dimensions which he perceives with his inner eye. Later on, he would tell how these beings, composed entirely of light and sound, are found throughout the cosmos. It has been a closely guarded secret among shamans that these beings exist, and it has always been strictly forbidden to talk about them. But because he believes this knowledge will benefit all people, Yosuke Seuss paints these mysterious, powerful beings in spite of some angry fellow shamans.
I didn't know there was like a shamanistic brotherhood, you know how magicians have a thing where you're not supposed to reveal trade secrets? Mm-hmm. I didn't know shamans operated in the same thing, where it's like, we all know these other beings exist and they're really important to us in our spiritual healing and everything. But we're going to hide that information from humanity, except for this one guy who's decided to paint it.
Right. Well, it's not so much... So Yosuke Seuss is a shaman, right? So yeah. As a shaman, he has the privilege of access to the light being entities.
Mm-hmm.
And he paints them despite the misgivings of the shaman community.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're mad at him for doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so yeah, exactly. So
I didn't know a shaman lived in a Pinterest house.
he really does. That's the thing. Like, it's very a shaman in an urban setting. It's he is an interesting guy who, like, if you look at him, and like his house, you wouldn't necessarily immediately go like, well, that's a shaman. Like, it's not even behind a waterfall or anything. So
yeah.
It's it is sort of unexpected, but this is
it is cool urban fantasy vibes. Is the thing.
Yes. And can you imagine how much he would be elevating his vibes if he did have that entire setup of the Pinterest house also behind a waterfall? Kind of cool.
I mean, aura points plus like, immediately plus like 50.
Aura points.
It's
Always room to improve.
Oh, yeah, always room to improve, exactly. And aura points are actually a thing that these shamans apparently care about. They do straight up talk about aura. So so here's the thing. When I talk about stuff like this, I don't know what real shamanism looks like. You know what I mean? Like, I don't actually know historically what a shaman is actually like. Like, I think we once talked about, like, brujeria, which has some connections to some shaman-like stuff, but I genuinely don't know what a real-world shaman is like. So I can't... This is gonna sound bad, but, like, I can't tell if I'm being sort of, like, fucked with by people like Gillabel or even Yoska Seuss. Like, I think that they're clearly getting a lot of these ideas from somewhere, but does this line up to, like, historically what a shaman is supposed to be? I have no idea. So I know that's like entirely unhelpful, but, like, I just don't know. So maybe I'll have to figure that out sometime.
That's the thing, that because, like, all of these things in this world of kind of spiritualism and new agey type beliefs, they want everything to seem like it's based in these, like, centuries old traditions and secretive, like, things. And then you'll find out that some of them are like, yeah, a guy went to, like, Tibet for 2 days and came back and said he found secret knowledge, and he actually started this, like, the first instance of this thing was like 1965.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I never know the line with some of these things, because I know that there is, like, an actual belief system for some of these in some of these places, but when these guys start doing it, I have no idea if it tracks at all.
Yeah, exactly. So Seuss, like I said, proceeds to do this shamanizing session, and he shows Gillabel the vibrational healing technique that he has with the singing bowls. And bewitched, this is no shit how this whole exchange goes down. So, bewitched by the auditory power of the bowls, which Seuss explains to Gillabel were Tibetan and they were created and used by Buddhist monks originally, Gillabel then asks him, well, wow, where can I purchase a bowl for myself? And lucky for him, Seuss is like, well, I'm ready to sell you one of mine. And Gillabel is, he's beside himself with excitement at the opportunity to own a Seuss bowl. And then there's a really great follow-up anecdote where Gillabel later has a dream about a sound. He dreams about a sound, and it seems important to him. And then he returns to Seuss, and he explains this dream to him. And Seuss then tells him, well, since you're bringing it up again, I actually happen to have some special bowls in the back that I don't normally show to guests, but for you, I will make an exception. So
come on, that makes it immediately sound like 10 times more fake.
I'm not joking. This is how it is written. He's straight up like, people don't get to see these. You are the exception. You are the exception. I will sell this bowl to you, my friend.
All right.
So it's very
at
like
this
car salesman.
one-time price.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's very it feels very secondhand salesman, car salesman, antique salesman. That's what it feels like. So Gillabel is then afforded the opportunity to make this purchase of one of the special bowls, which he doesn't, like, elaborate what makes these bowls special. Seuss just tells him, like, this is the one that only you get to see and nobody else. So I just really like that.
Yeah.
So like I mentioned, I think so. You can contact them to try and buy stuff from them. I have no idea if the bowls are actually for sale, so you're gonna have to email them to find that out.
Do they have, like, a price list that they can send me? Send me a PDF.
God, I hope so. But
well, usually they wouldn't, but for you, they can send you this.
Yeah, exactly. So from this encounter with Seuss, Gillabel would follow in those footsteps to become a healer and a shaman. And I think you could also argue that he's like a guru or a sage. He offers like most of his websites about publishing articles on stuff like spiritual health, traveling through the astral plane, metaphysical stuff, the question of God, lots of new agey ideas, which I find, he actually uses the label of new age himself. He uses that as a label. So there is a myriad of topics that we could dig into in the future. So I imagine this won't be the last episode about Gillabel. But now that we have some idea of what Gillabel's, whole shtick is, I wanted to talk about some of the spiritual experiences that he has personally gone through and his explanation of these things, or his thoughts about those things. There are a lot of them, and they're pretty great. But I'm going to try and highlight just a couple here at the end.
Okay.
So remember, Gillabel considers himself a cosmic traveler, which I understand means that he can contact or sometimes see the spirit realm, and he can even travel the astral plane. And these are things that tend to happen to him in a state of like near sleep or dreaming or things like that. So he can contact these things and experience these things in that state. So the first spiritual experience story that I was instantly drawn to, this is the first thing that my eyes landed on. I immediately had to know. He's got a page here titled King of the Gnomes. So here's what Gillabel says. One night, while in the spirit, the King of the Gnomes had invited me for a little feast they were having inside of a subterranean tunnel. A long table was set with food and drink. The King of the Gnomes was sitting in the middle of one row, and I was sitting opposite the king. Gnomes were at our left and right. There were not that many of them, maybe around 20. We were just having a good time. Then I heard a long, low, powerful growl coming from my left side, from somewhere deep in the dark tunnel system. I was surprised and looked at the king. He told me that it came from a dragon, and he assured me that there was no danger. From time to time, they worked together with this dragon. Now, you have to understand, this was not the King of the Gnomes. There are many kings of the gnomes. The term king means the leader of a group of gnomes. This is only one small group of many. You might think that gnomes and dragons do not exist, as our society has pushed them to the realm of fantasy and non-existence, but they do exist, regardless of what humans think. They are etheric beings who reside in a dimension slightly beyond the gross physical world we are familiar with. Gnomes have the ability to appear in our physical world if they want to. However, in the last centuries, they have stayed inside their own dimension/world because humans became too hostile towards them. When I visited the Findhorn Foundation in the early 80s, there was an old lady also visiting that went out every night in the dark into the fields and woods around the Findhorn Park to talk to the nature spirits and elementals. There are still people around who can see and communicate with these beings.
Okay.
I have a really good illustration of a gnome that I'll also share with everything else. That's incredibly sick. It's got very if you've seen the illustration, I'm not gonna remember the artist, but there's the illustrations of like the wizard who's like sitting at a computer, or there's like a witch sitting at a computer and she's like hovering and typing at the computer, or there's the witch on the the wizard on the subway train and stuff. Like if you've seen those illustrations, it's similar vibes to that, but this is a gnome who has like a staff and a snake is hanging out with him, and he's just kind of like chuckling, and there's some like etheric energies coming off of him, and it's awesome, and I love it.
I do like that he makes it very clear that there are multiple King of the Gnomes, because we do have this weird this is this is such a weird thought. You know how like we have a tendency to, when we're talking about made up beings or fantasy beings, whatever you want to call them, to make it very like there's only enough of them to have one ruler. Mm-hmm. Whereas having multiple, we have a king of various countries around Earth. So why do we have to make a singular king for fantastical beings? You know, that's bucking our own tradition.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. That's a good point. It is weird that like as soon as you start talking about fantasy creatures, you're like, well, there's just one king. That's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Because they all have to be, well, we have a tendency to make the other a monolith.
True.
You know?
True. Very true. Thank you for pulling out that wisdom.
good world. I mean, good facts about the world.
Yes, and the gnomes that live within it.
Yeah.
So that's the gnomes. I just had to know about the king of the gnomes. The next, so like order of operations.
so
what?
Sorry, he just like saw this scene. He didn't interact with anybody.
He literally said that he was hanging out across the table with the king, having a good time and having a little feast. Nile. So I'm assuming
I got swept up in the imagery, and
he shrunk down so small that like a hawk could swoop down and pick him up.
I thought he was like squatting down on a little chair and his knees were up at his ears.
I mean, he doesn't
Gulliver's Travel style.
He doesn't clearly define it, right? But so honestly, I think that it's open to reader interpretation at that point. I imagine that he shrunk down because, like, when you're in the etheric plane, you can be whatever form you want, right? And because you're made of light and sound or whatever the hell, And so I imagine he shrunk down real small, gnome size, donned a little red cap, and then had a feast. And then like I said, hawk swoops in, grasps him with its talons, flies off with him. Comically, that's kind of what I was picturing. But yours, totally valid interpretation because he actually doesn't tell you. Now, another important thing for understanding Gillabel's spiritual experiences is that he can come in contact with his own past lives, it turns out. So he often receives visions or dreams about previous iterations of himself. So here's another story that, again, because of the sort of word salad phrases that I'm seeing, my mind will gravitate towards certain phrases in order of importance to me. So second in order of importance was this one that said, energetic egg vehicle in ancient times.
Fuck yeah.
These are good picks, I gotta say.
I love energetic egg vehicle. So here's what he says. This is a clear visual memory that surfaced when in a relaxed state. It was a past life, long time ago, in very ancient times. I have noticed from other experiences that in ancient time, the earth and its inhabitants were very different from the present day. I was standing on a little hill at the edge of a village stretched out below me. To the right of me was a friend. We were different from the villagers, and the villagers were the common people of those days. Me and my companion were somewhat different, although I couldn't say in what way. We wanted to go down to the village. We both concentrated and created, by thought, a transparent egg-like energy shell around us. This allowed us to float down through the air towards the village, guided by our own thoughts. And there's an illustration here of two people in tunics, I guess, and they're encapsulated in egg energy floating down into this town. So in ancient times, it seems that humanity had the ability to project auras that could make us float, and we just forgot about it or something.
Did he give any indication where or when this was, or is it just like
the whole thing is that these are vague memories from past lives. And he the way he describes... Let me find the part where he says that when memories like these come up, it's like a reliving without an explanation. So it's almost like he gets snippets of memories that he gets to relive, but he has no context outside of them.
Fair. And it's not like it's not like you would have a sign that says 1532 Belgium in the memory. Sure.
Right.
Yeah, I got it.
Exactly. So, sorting through these word salad titles, another thing that seems to be sort of like heavily implied to be a recalled memory from a past life. This is an article that was titled "Atlantean Underground Laboratory." So he says, during a certain period in my life when I was relaxed and dozing, I would get memories of an underground laboratory during the time of Atlantis. It was always the same place. The memories were vague, and I could not see clear pictures, but I knew it was a small rectangular room with a rectangular stone table in the middle with stone benches around it. When the memories came up, there was always the same distinctive feeling associated with it. One time, I got a very clear kind of tunnel vision of an instrument in that room. I saw the instrument very clearly sitting on top of a small stone wall. Everything else around it was in the usual blur. The instrument was rectangular, about 2 feet long, 2 inches wide, and 1 inch high. It was made from a material that looked like transparent casting resin or plastic. About 1 inch from either side, inside this bar, were 2 small spheres. The left one had the name of Zion. The right one had the name of Bion. The transparent bar had the property of dividing in two somewhere in the middle by means of an irregular fracture. But when joined together, you could not see any dividing line. I have no idea what it was used for or what the names of the spheres mean. So, the Zion Bion sphere of the ancient Atlantis laboratory,
Yeah, what the fuck? All right.
Totally open
Bion
interpretation.
is the funniest beat. But also, a lot of the times with people like this, they have these stories. A lot of times, I feel like the stories aren't very good. It's just like intriguing because they're saying they happen to them. But this is like a mix of Weird Tales and Heavy Metal Magazine into it.
Yes. That's, I mean, a lot. God, we're not going to be able to get to all these stories because there's a lot of them. But yeah, I think you nailed the vibe. They're all kind of like this, just these weird little snippets. And they're all, God, they're all like this. Like, there's a whole story about how this woman who he was friends with in Belgium, in a meadow, and these 2 Spanish women show up out of nowhere and explain that they've been in contact with a being from beyond the earth, and that they need to, like, get some message out. And then they're like, we gotta leave, but if you take this stone and go stand in this part of the meadow, then you will be able to contact us at any time through the spirit realm. And then so that's like a story that he heard from somebody else, supposedly, who he also claims does not believe in those types of things, in quotes. Mm-hmm. And then he says, following up on her story that she told me, I drove out to the meadow where this all supposedly happened and took photos of the locations she pointed out, and then took those photos back to a clairvoyant person and told them nothing about them, presented the photos to them, and the clairvoyant was able to read off everything that these 2 Spanish women told her about the non-terrestrial being they were in contact with.
Neat.
That's really intensely weird source verification.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Jesus. All right.
It's a strange one. It's a whole story. That one's like super long. But then let's finish it up with this one. So with the whole extraterrestrial question, right? Like, you're reading this and you're thinking, okay, this story brings up implied aliens. Well, Gillabel, what do you think about that? So following that up, we have Gillabel's astral transference into a flying saucer. While he doesn't get specific about the dates, we've talked about this on the show before, but I sort of wonder if this experience would have occurred sometime around the Belgian UFO wave of 1989, because he says that this happened in the 80s. So I think this was a thing in the air, in 1989 to 1992, there were just a large amount of UFO sightings in areas of Belgium. And I'm assuming that's when this takes place, but he doesn't actually give the specific date. So here's what he says. The following experience happened in the 1980s. At that time, I was still in Belgium. One night, I woke up in full consciousness and I found myself flying over a landscape in my astral body. In the distance, I saw a small metal-looking flying saucer. I flew towards the vehicle and I moved right into it. Being inside, I had a clear look at the interior. In the middle of the circular room were 2 human-looking beings. As far as I could tell, they looked just like humans. These 2 were in control of the craft. Around the inside perimeter was a ledge with instrumentation. The instrumentation was few and looked simple. As far as I could distinguish, it was showing colored lights, among other things. There were 3 beings sitting at these consoles, holding and moving their hands over these lights. I understood clearly that all the occupants were unified in mind. Each person knew what each other person was thinking and doing, and they worked together in unison. The craft was controlled solely by the mind of the occupants. I also felt that these people had complete control of their minds. No wandering thoughts. They had clear, focused thought processes. I realized that we humans on Earth are not capable of having such a clear mind, nor able to fly such a craft. I also felt that the 2 beings in the center were not aware of me, or they were, but decided to completely ignore me. All this lasted only a couple of seconds. Then I exited the craft into the opposite direction and went back into my physical body. I feel that I was guided to have this experience, probably by my spiritual guides. At that time, there were very few books about flying saucers in the Dutch language. The whole subject was very mysterious, and nobody really knew who the occupants were. The occupants were usually referred to as UFO nauts. Only in the 2000s I came across a few references that at least some ETs were piloting their vehicles by their mind. As with other spiritual experiences, I feel that this one was shown to me to give me a first-hand experience of the reality of extraterrestrials. One such experience is enough. Since then, I did not have to believe in them. I know that they exist and that they are here.
Okay.
So, he beamed himself into a UFO, the aliens ignored his ass, and then he beamed back out.
Yeah, it's kind of like a weird nothing burger of a fucking UFO encounter, but I guess it's enough for him to believe in aliens, so that's good enough.
He just... I love the idea that, like, I don't know whether the implication is that he's so insignificant or that the aliens just genuinely don't give a shit about entities beaming into their craft, that they just straight up are like, we're busy, like, see, leave us a message and we'll get back to you. Like, they don't even give him that.
See him?
What if they couldn't see him? Well, then we have some interesting questions that I would tap into our history of UFOs and New Age beliefs, where I would wonder if maybe just our consciousnesses are not compatible in a way.
We're such low-dimensional consciousness that they don't even really, like, perceive it, you know?
Well, maybe they didn't even notice because of the kind of shit they've been going through.
That's also...
Yeah, hey, they could just be having an off day.
Exactly.
That's the thing that never comes up in UFO encounters. Maybe the aliens were just, like, hungover.
People want to really, like, talk on, like, a scientific or metaphysical or spiritual level about, like, these intense things with these... And they could have just, like... Maybe that was just like somebody driving their friend to another UFO that just got towed, aka taken by, men in black and reincorporated into military technology. Like that's got to be a tough day for you if you're an alien. Like, fuck, my craft is gone. I just got the first down payment on that thing. Like it's just, it could have been a totally fucked day. I mean, are you paying attention to all the shit going on around you when shit happens? Not necessarily. That's a good point.
No.
So there are a lot more stories. Like the one, I guess what I'm saying is we should eventually just do another episode on stuff that this guy talks about, because you could talk about his world of things and his stories just so much longer. Like, he has stories of meeting light beings, like he met, like Yoska Seuss was painting, so he's met those as well, because of course, he's an official shaman, so, and the shamans know about those things. So there's a whole story about this lady with the star that it's very like drenched in like religious imagery on my first reading of it, and he gets back into Jungian archetypes and stuff and whatever. So there's a lot more we could talk about. Like, we could spend an entire episode talking about light beings. He writes a poem about this light being that he meets. So there's a lot there. But to cap this off, I kind of love this stuff, but I would like to just mention because I feel like it would be unfair if I didn't just say this. He does have articles that delve a lot deeper into like woo-woo and alternative medicine and just like some really eye-rolling stuff. He reposts other people's stuff too. So there was one. I'll tell you what I did. I went to his blog, and there's a search bar for his blog, so you can just see what's on there. And I did search the word Jewish, because I just wanted to know if that was. Now, here's the good news. None of the original material that he has written incorporates that word in any way at all. He reposts an article that has this extremely weird like Christian thing about how like Christianity is the inheritor of like blood sacrifice sin through its lineage to Judaism, which I don't even know what the fuck that's about, but like it's like I don't know what that's like the blood libel crap. So luckily he wasn't writing that. But he does have like he has alternative medicines and cheaper fixes for treating cancer. He has an entire PDF guide on the application of colloidal silver. Some pretty silly stuff about how to treat coronavirus. He goes on a whole thing about how like, well, coronavirus is really just it's like the result of the common cold, and medicine doesn't really have an answer for how to treat the common cold. So you should just treat it in the way that you would treat getting a normal sore throat. And you're like, okay, man.
Oh,
so,
God.
And then of course there's an entire section devoted to, Oregon, which KT, I don't know if you remember the Oregon stuff.
I can never forget it.
It's, oh my God, it's so... has a whole section on Oregon blasters, which I found very interesting. He calls them ghost blasters, not UFO blasters. So, typically we've like looked at that and found that people are like shooting down UFOs with Oregon energy, I guess. The Oregon blasters.
Yeah, but I've always come to Oregon from like the UFO side of things.
True.
So of course they're gonna bend it that way. I'm sure there's the spiritualist side as well.
That's like Sherry Shriner shit, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, he goes on like, you know, here's how you use orgonite to counter the effects of cell phone towers and other EMFs, which, you know, whatever affects those. We did a whole 5G episode. I'm assuming that's what he's referring to. So yeah, can't endorse all that stuff, but I like the singing bowls and the tarot artwork. So yeah,
maybe just stay out of the alternative medicine side.
I mean,
of things,
I think we should talk about it, but let's a separation of concerns might be good, because we can have a lot of fun talking about tarot and singing bowls, and then I can be like, this episode's gonna fucking suck because we're gonna talk about colloidal silver. You know, we can just really separate things out.
Yeah, there you go.
So, yeah, that is Gillabel. That is the Cosmick Traveler, as he calls himself, Dirk Gillabel. Any final thoughts?
It's still such a wild name. Dirk Gillabel sounds both like the fakest name and too specific and not like funny enough implicitly to be fake.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of a platonic ideal of a memorable name.
Yeah,
literally. So.
Dirk Gillabel, Cosmic Traveler, is just making me think of Garth Marenghi a lot.
Yes. Yeah. You know, that I instantly thought, I mean, they share the name Dirk, but it has the same like cadence of Dirk Gently, the Holistic Detective Agency. Like
that too.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's the same thing. But Garth Marenghi, I would like to imagine Garth Marenghi after he gets fired from the hospital, goes on to become a sort of like bowl singing spiritualist shaman. Like that is the trajectory of that character.
He would totally pull I've got special bowls in the back that I don't normally show people, you know? That would totally happen. And he just goes back and like grabs a salad bowl. Like he'd be that level of fucking...
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's got 7 metals for the number of planets, but there's 9 planets for the 7 visible planets.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe we can get the 10th metal in there for Nibiru. You know, like
Ooh. See,
yeah, wrap it all
we
together.
would be if we wanted to grift, we would be so fucking good. Like if Nile, if you put together the shop, the storefront online for the singing bowls composed of the 10 metals that relate to, and then you list them out and include Nibiru, we would have, although I guess Nibiru like has like maybe these are like sorry, I'm about to go on a totally weird direction, but maybe because of the attachment to Nibiru, these are the singing bowls that you sell to the evil etheric beings like reptilians that want to, cause disharmony and chaos with their bowls.
They hum at 342 hertz, which is the evil frequency.
Exactly. Fuck yeah, that's that's Dirk Gillabel. I really love this topic, and I want to return to it again for sure. So, KT, in the future, I may reach out to you when I am able to put together another big episode on this guy's stuff, because we really only scratched the surface. I got to talk to y'all about light beings and shit. Like we're not quite there yet.
I love light being stuff. I love that kind of that's some of my favorite brand of nonsense.
It's awesome. It's super cool. So, all that being said, I have a big question. Are you both ready for a big question?
I think so. I think I always am.
Okay. If you were given the option to either sit down for an hour-long feast with the King of Gnomes and receive the wisdom from the King of Gnomes in that hour versus $50,000 in cash right now, which one would you take and why?
You're doing the Jay-Z bet? The Jay-Z
Yeah, but with
argument?
the King of Gnomes, Nile.
Yeah, this is fantastic. No, I'm commending you.
Thank you.
Okay. Let me think for a second.
I didn't have to think much about this one. Do you want to know my answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, $50K cash right now. What can the King of Gnomes possibly teach me that I can't figure out by spending $50K on like books about the Fey realm?
You're basically gonna cut a check for $50K straight to Jacques Vallée and try to get everything he's ever written.
Yeah, well, I'm already halfway there. I have Passport to Magonia and like the secret, or what's it called, the Invisible College and shit. I have that on my shelf right now, so really I'm not gonna have to spend much, and his books aren't like that expensive. So let's say, $100 worth of my $50K check. I don't know. Although there's the King of Gnomes is kind of cool too, though. Like maybe there is stuff that he could say that would not be contained in books that man could write.
Yeah, I think there are certain non-transmutable things that the King of Gnomes would be able to kind of
shit, I'm rethinking this.
So like and you here's the thing, if I know this is going to happen, which like with the bet, the way that you're structuring this means that I have some foreknowledge that I would get to go talk to the King of Gnomes.
Yeah.
I'm strapping a GoPro on, and like I'm gonna release this footage.
You're gonna make that $50K.
I'm gonna make
some.
like purely from a capitalistic sense, which is the best way to look at these things, right?
Yeah.
I think more can be made from visiting the gnomes than even $50K, because right now $50K is like $20.
Shit. That's a good answer. Well, KT, I think we solved it. Do you want to answer, or do you care?
I want $50K because I can get a drum machine with that.
Oh, true.
And if I go to the etheric plane to talk to the King of Gnomes and he gives me a drum machine, I can't bring it back.
Oh yeah, because if you take gifts from the etheric realm, then
gifts or food.
The material plane is different.
Fuck. That's true. They have different hookups. The drum machines there don't use XLRs.
Your GoPro footage might not make it out. You have to think about this.
That's true.
Okay, now hold up, though, because we have established that receiving something from the Fey realm, it could, like, curse you. It could spirit you away to another world, things like that. You never return. There's, like, there's a fairy circle where you used to stand, that kind of thing, right? I've never seen anybody say, oh, you can't take a GoPro to the Fey realm. And I have seen stories where you get positive results from bringing a gift to them. So maybe okay. here's what you do. Here's what you do. You have a GoPro that you have strapped on yourself. You also get one for the King of the Gnomes.
Yeah.
And then you can just be like, look, I'll show you how to use it. Here's mine. Here's how you do it. Isn't that awesome, King of the Gnomes? And the King of the Gnomes is like giddy and gleeful and joyous and puffing on a pipe when you show him that shit. So you're in. Like, that's maybe that works, but just don't accept the food. Like, obviously wisdom is intangible, it's metaphysical, like you can take epistemological stuff back with you, but not so much, like crumpets or tea.
Yeah. Okay.
So
yeah,
anyways.
I think we solved it. I think we knocked this one out of the fucking park.
Those are good answers. I really like that one. So that's my episode. I really I have so much more I want to say. I skipped over so much shit. Like you didn't even hear my light being poem. It's not mine. It's Gillabel's. Like Dirk wrote that.
Hey,
but
maybe for the second part of this, you can write your own light being poem, and you can kind of like we can compare the two.
I like it. Okay, cool. That's a great idea. Well, KT, I will make sure to inform you the next time. You're officially my guest of honor for the Dirk Gillabel episodes.
There's something fun about assigning a guest unbeknownst to them, like a return topic.
Yeah.
That like now you're the expert on the expert guest on this subject. That's fun to me. That's a fun thing to spring on people.
Yeah, I'm happy to have this baton.
Absolutely. Hey, by the end of this, we're gonna make you a Dirk spurt. You're gonna be.
That sounds
full of Gillabel
good.
knowledge. So cool, awesome. Well, all of that being said, Nile, are you ready to take care of some business?
Yeah. So should we let our guest take care of business first?
Absolutely. KT, what would you like to promote? Where can people find you? Whatever you want to share or don't share. You don't have to tell them shit, frankly, but feel free to do you.
Sure. I make music under the name Filthburger. You can find that I have an EP or two on filthburger.bandcamp.com. And I'm working on another one very slowly, or a full album. And I also write weird fiction as KT Violet, and you can, if you wanna, I don't really have like a way to sell that yet, but if you want to follow me and see what's going on in general on Instagram, I guess you can follow me at KT_ultraviolet. That's a reference to my derby name, which was MK Ultraviolet. And
hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
I think that's all I've got. Working on stuff.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. That's I have listened to that EP when it came out, and it's super cool. So everybody should check that out. And thank you for coming on our show. We I'm
Thank you
trying
for
to
having me.
Get some friends on the show and do that a little more often. So I appreciate that you're here for the sort of first wave of new guests that I'm working on.
Here to enter the Gilliverse.
Yes. So Nile, our business. I mean, I guess we can talk about it.
If you want to follow us on social media, we're on Twitter at IGW Podcast.
You can follow us on Facebook.com/ItGetsWeirdPodcast.
And we're on all your favorite podcatchers. If you listen to podcasts somewhere, look up It Gets Weird, and we're probably there.
We're on Blue Sky at It Gets Weird. Check it out. We're trying to, not do that Twitter thing so much. We still are, but we're working on it. Twitch.tv/ItGetsWeird. I've been playing Pokemon Fire Red, a Nuzlocke run with a friend of the show, Colin, who is also a recurring guest. And we have a lot of fun over there, so please come join us. KT actually sometimes shows up and we chat, and it's a good time. So please check out twitch.tv/itgetsweird. Email us, itgetsweirdpodcast@gmail.com. We actually have like a little bit of a backlog of emails, so I promise we'll get to you very soon if we haven't already. But feel free to reach out to us. I would love to hear more about tarot. I'm sure there are people out there who can tell us more about that too, because that's a topic that I'm surprisingly ignorant on. So please reach out. Or if you got other stories, UFOs, cryptids, whatever the hell you want, reach out to us. Tell us a good story. Tell us how we should refer to you, and we might read your email out on the show. If you really want to support us, though, patreon.com/itgetsweird. We have a $1 tier. That's the tip tier. That's you saying, hey, thanks for doing what we do. Here's $1. Keep the show going. There's also a $2 tier where you start to get content. That's the It Gets Weird TV tier, where Nile and I every other week talk about weird television. Right now we are in the middle of X-Files season 3, and it's been a great time. Huge back catalog of episodes there. We also have a $5 tier where we have the show that comes out in the off weeks of It Gets Weird TV called World of Weird. Nile and I talk about whatever the hell we want to talk about. Again, another great time. Huge backlog of content. I recently looked, and we have something like 700 audio episodes on our Patreon at the $5 tier, so that's the most bang for your buck. Whether you donate to the $2 tier or the $5 tier, you get access to the main show 2 days early on Friday instead of Sunday on your own private Patreon feed, and you get access to the Discord where we're hanging out, chatting with our listeners, just like you at home right now. So please check it out. Patreon.com/itgetsweird. Best way to support us outside of word of mouth advertising. So if you can't donate, if money's tight, we understand, but please tell your friends, tell your enemies, and tell your fucking congressman about It Gets Weird podcast.
All right. Thank you all for listening to the show. Thank you for continuing to support us. Thank you to KT for joining us again.
Yes, thank you.
This has been It Gets Weird. And I've been Nile.
And I'm Kyle, signing out.